I don't think I like it this way. Yeah. Alrighty. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night. Wherever you are, hello to you. Tonight we will be talking about modal verbs, right? Modal verbs. So modal verbs express ability, possibility, probability, permission, obligation, advice. Now, possibility and probability are very, very similar, right? The only difference is that with possibility, there is less likelihood of something happen. Probability, there is more likelihood of something happening, right? So modal verbs express ability, possibility, probability, permission, obligation, and advice. Alrighty. So just keep those in mind as we go through the different modal verbs. So modal verbs never ever change form, right? Modal verbs never ever change form. So you don't add s to them, you don't add ed to them, you don't add ing to them. They never ever change form. So it's never cans, might, would, never ever. You don't add ed, don't add ing. They never ever change form, right? They never ever change form. They are followed by the infinity of a verb without the to. So it will never ever be he can to walk or he would to go, she might to play, right? You never ever use the word to after a modal verb. It's always followed by the the base form of the word, right? The base of the word. So that's the word without to. That's the base of the word. So modal verbs are always followed by the infinitive of a verb. The third thing is that modal verbs are auxiliary verbs. This means that they cannot be used by themselves, right? They cannot be used by themselves. There must be a main verb, right? For modal verbs, there must be a main verb. Modal verbs cannot, so a main verb, so auxiliary means a helping verb, right? So the auxiliary would be the modal verb, and then the main verb would be whatever verb follows it. So in the sentence, I can draw, right? Can would be the modal verb, which is the auxiliary verb, and draw would be the main verb. All right, so those are the three main characteristics of modal verbs, right? They never change form, they are followed by the infinitive of a verb, and they can only be used with the main verb. So, do you have any questions? If you have any questions, let me know right now. But well, any questions about this slide? If you have any questions about this slide, let me know so I can answer them. Let me know if you have any questions before I move on. Okay, great. So the modal verbs are can, could, may, might, must, will, would, shall, should, or ought to, right? So these are the modal verbs. Can, could, may, might, must, will, would, shall, should, or ought to. So right now we are going to get right into modal verbs, right? Can, could, may, might, must, will, would, shall, should, or ought to. So let's go. If you have any questions, just write them as I go along. I will read. Look to the comment section, right? So if you have any questions, I'm going to give time after each slide for questions. So if you have any questions, you can just ask after I finish each slide. So can, right? Can expresses ability, permission, or possibility, right? Can expresses ability, permission, or possibility. So for example, Ability would be I can swim, right? I can swim. That's an example of ability. I can braid hair. I can draw. I can teach. I can go to the supermarket for you tomorrow, right? Ability. Permission. So usually they say that it's much more polite to use may instead of can, but we use can pretty regularly. So can I use your phone, please? Can I borrow your bag? Can I borrow your pencil? Can I borrow your book? Right? Permission. You're asking permission. And I'd say, sure, you can borrow it, right? So once it has to do with permission, may is preferred, but you can also use can. Possibility, right? Possibility. So smoking can cause cancer. Um, if you are not careful, the knife can cut you. Possibility. So it's not, remember I said the difference between possibility and probability is that possibility shows that there's less likelihood of something happening, right? So something that's possible, but it's not as likely to happen, right? Something is possible, but it's not as likely to happen. So let me see if I can think of any other sentences with can and the possibility. Possibility. Um, if she comes tomorrow, I can comb her hair, right? That's possibility. If she comes tomorrow, I can comb her hair. So you have a lot of things to do, but you're saying, okay, I may have the time. So if she comes, I can comb her hair. I can do that for her, right? Possibility. Possibility for the modal verb can. All right. So after can, we have could. Any questions, Lauren? If you have any questions, just write them, okay? Could. Ability in the past, polite permission, possibility. So when I was younger, I could climb trees, right? When I was younger, I could ride my bicycle. When I was younger, I could hide under the staircase. I can't do that anymore, right? Ability in the past, polite permission. Um, could you please make me a cup of coffee? Could you please turn off the fan? Could you please something for me, right? It's a polite way. Or could I please borrow your phone? So it's much more polite to ask someone, could, right? Could I please borrow your phone? Could, polite permission. Possibility for could, right? So combing her hair so tightly could cause a headache, right? Could, it's a possibility. Combing her hair so tightly could cause a headache, right? So that's a possibility. That's the word could in a possibility, right? Combing her hair so tight could cause a headache. Um, maybe they could come by car. So you're not certain, but it's possible that they could come by car. If it is that um you can't go and pick them up, could they come by bus? Probably they could come by taxi, right? Possibility. They could be at home. Where is Gina? I haven't seen her in a while. Well, she could be at home, right? Possibility using the word could. Possibility. All right, so after could, remember that if you have any questions, don't be afraid to ask them in the comments. So for may, right? The word may, as we see here, may expresses possibility and permission. So for example, we could say, may I use your phone? So remember for can, right? Can I use your phone? It's the same for me. May I use your phone? So can is more commonly used, but may is said to be the more polite version, right? So may I use your phone? Because can, remember that can also expresses ability, right? So asking can I use your phone, of course you can use my phone, right? You have the ability to use my phone, but would I give you permission to use my phone? Right, that's why when I was younger in elementary school, our teachers always told us to use may. Hello, Norma, welcome. Right? So when I was in elementary school, our teachers always told us to use may, because when we ask can, um, well, in their eyes, it made no sense because we do have the ability to go to the bathroom, right? But the question isn't, do you have the ability? Do I have the ability? The question is, do I have the permission to go, right? So may is not necessarily more formal. Norma, it's more polite. I would say polite, right? More polite. Possibility using may. So she may come. I invited her to the movies with me. She may come. Um, the TV show may air again. I'm not sure, but it may air sometime next week, right? So it could happen, but you're not sure if it's gonna happen. It's not likely to happen. Then you'd use may, right? Possibility. Possibility. So may, use may for permission and possibility. Alrighty, must. If you have any questions, just ask, okay, guys? Must is strong obligation or logical conclusion or certainty. So, must. You must wash your hands after using the toilet, right? Must. You must wash your hands. Um, the children must wear black socks to school. You must stop at the intersection to see if other vehicles are coming, right? Must. Now, logical conclusion is where, based on a situation, you're assuming something, right? So you can say, wow, she has been working all day. She must be tired by now, right? Logical conclusion. She must be tired by now. Oh, she speaks English so nicely. She must be practicing very hard, right? Logical conclusion. So, based on circumstances, you're basically assuming something, right? Logical conclusion. So, strong obligation, the children must wear socks to school. Logical conclusion, basically, based on the circumstances, you're assuming something or you're sure about something. Or oh, I see them arguing. They must have an issue, right? You're saying based on the fact that they're arguing, you know that there must be some issue as to why they are arguing, right? So that's a logical conclusion. Based on the circumstances, you're saying, okay, this must be the case, or you're basically assuming what is happening. So she has been working on all day. She must be tired by now, right? Must. Alrighty, let us move on to will. So polite request to talk about the future probability. So polite request is, will you please be quiet? So as opposed to shut up, will you please be quiet? Right? That's a very polite request. Will you please join me in the dining room for supper? Very, very polite request, right? To talk about the future, right? Or when you have a great belief in something that's going to happen. So you use will to talk about the future. So let me give you an example. Your father, no, I'm going to say, my father will pick me up after practice, right? Talking about the future, my father will pick me up after practice. Um, the teacher will be pleased to know that I got 100% on my test, right? My order. So I know a lot of persons are having problems with Amazon now, right? So you can say my order, the person on the other end of the Amazon phone call would say to you, ma'am, your order will be shipped tomorrow. We are sorry for the inconvenience caused and we are just asking for your patience, right? Will be talking about the future. So your order will be shipped tomorrow, right? Probability. So probability, remember that I said earlier that probability means that something, it's more likely that something will happen, right? It's more likely that something will happen. So with possibility, you're not sure. It may not happen, right? But with probability, it's more likely to happen, right? It's more likely to happen. All right. So for example, um, he's not going to be fluent in English in a month. It will take many months. It will take years, right? Probability. So it's highly unlikely for someone to become fluent in English in a month. It's going to take some time, right? So that's probability using the word will. Oh, I forgot to ask. Was anyone? Yes. So in general sense, we usually use will to express a. Let me show your comment on the screen. So yes, Lauren, we do use will to express future plans, right? We'll go, but it's still talking about the future, right? In terms of polite requests, as I mentioned, is polite, very formal. So if it's usually like if someone is inviting you to a function and they would say, will you join me at the theater at 3 p.m.? Or will you join me in the lobby at 2 p.m., right? So polite request, very formal, very, very formal. But yes, it's more most often used to talk about the future. More often than not. I think this is the most common use of will to talk about the future. So you're very correct. Very, very correct. Um, yep. That's it for will. Anyone have any questions? Don't hesitate to ask in the comments. We're almost through with modal verbs. So would, another way to ask for things politely, right? It's very similar to could. So would you please bring my bag? Would you please bring me a cup of tea? Um, would you mind accompanying me to the ball? This is something that like probably a guy would ask a girl, right? Would you like to accompany me to the ball? Would you like a cup of tea? So if a guest comes to your house, right? Would you like a cup of tea? Would you like to watch the television? Would you like to watch the news? Right? That's something I am asking my guests. So you're being polite when you use the word would. Habitual past action. So when I was younger, I would go to my grandma's house every summer, right? Habitual past action. When I was younger, I would go to my grandma's house every Sunday. When I was in university, I would do all-nighters every week, right? When I was in university, I would do all-nighters every week, right? So that's how you used would as an habitual past action, something that you did repeatedly in the past, like a habit, you use would. Let me see if I can give you any more examples. So would, habitual past action. When she was a child, she would always try to climb the stairs, or she would always hang on to my earrings, right? Something that someone always did in the past. Probability. Um, Mary is not here. Example. My note of English exam. I don't understand what you're trying to say, Lauren. My note of English exam would be better in the past. I don't understand what you're trying to say, Lauren. My note of English so you're trying to say when I was younger, I would take a lot of English notes. That's the best way I see would fitting into that sentence. Um, my note of yeah, that's the only way I see that sentence. Or you can say, um, my English notes would be better if I listen to the teacher more. So that would be probability, right? That would be probability if I use it like that. If I listen to the teacher more, or if I pay better attention in class, my English notes would be better. Or when you say notes, you mean grades, Lauren, right? Grade. I forgot you're a Spanish speaker. When you say notes, do you mean grades? Notes, you mean grades, right? 100%, 50%, 80%. When you say notes, that's what you mean. That's a great sentence. So I think when you write notes, you mean grades. So yes, my English grades would be better if I practice more. Excellent sentence. Full stop at the end, right? Full stop at the end. Yeah. My English grades would be better if I practice more. Yes, so that's a great sentence, right? Except the question mark, you'd put a full stop, and remember to start your sentence with a capital letter. So, great sentence. My English grades would be better if I practiced more. And that's an example of probability, right? That's an example of probability. If I run, I would be earlier. Hmm. I I would use will for that normal. If I run, I would be earlier. Um, if I ran, I would have made it. But I would say, right, if I run, I will be earlier. So this means I'm walking to class and I'm early, right? But if I run, I would be early. So this is the conditional tense we are heading into, right, Norma? This is the conditional tense we're heading into. But it would be if I ran, I would be earlier than if I run. If I ran, I would be earlier, right, Norma? So it's good for the most part, except this is conditional tense, and it would be if I ran, I would be earlier, right? If I ran, I would be earlier. That's a condition. So if I am, this is assuming that if I walk, I would be early for class, but if I ran, I would be earlier. That's how that sentence would work, Normal. But good try, very good try. And this is very okay, Lauren. We all do it. So when I am speaking Spanish, I think in English and then try to translate. And this is bad. My teacher always tells us don't think in English, think in Spanish, right? So I'm telling you, don't think in Spanish, think in English. If you think in Spanish and then try to translate, you're going to make a lot of errors because Spanish and English are not always parallel, right? They have their own sentence structures, the phrasal verbs are different. So try as best as possible to think in English, not to translate in your head, but to think in English. All right. So Lauren gave a very great example for probability. If I practice more, my English grades will be better, right? Would be better. If I practice more, my English grades would be better. And this is also so would is used a lot in the conditional tense, as you guys can tell. All right, would is used a lot in the conditional tense. So I think I'll be doing the conditional about Friday. So ensure you guys are here on Friday, right, for the conditional. Shall. Now, shall is a very formal word. It's not used a lot, right? We don't use shall a lot, but we use it to offer assistance or to make a suggestion, right? For example, shall I go with you to the bathroom? Right? Shall I go with you to the bathroom? That's offering assistance, right? Shall I go with you to the bathroom? Um, shall we ride together to the event? So it's very polite in that You don't want to directly suggest, so you ask it in the form of a question. Shall we? Shall we go for a walk? Right? It's a very polite suggestion. So we really only use shall with I or we, unless you're saying like the truth. Yeah, we don't use shall with any other noun, any other pronoun except I or we, right? I or we. Shall we go for a walk? Shall I? So, for example, if you see someone struggling, so this is most often for males, right? If a man sees you struggling and then he sees you with your bags and he holds out his hand, where's the camera? Okay. He holds out his hand and says, shall I? That means the person is offering to do something for you, right? Shall I? And as I said, shall is very, very formal. Very formal. We rarely ever use shall. And we really only use shall if we expect a positive answer, right? We use shall if we expect a positive answer. Like if you see that someone really needs assistance and you know they would really accept the help that you're offering, you say, shall I? Right? That means you're offering help. It's really just yeah, you're offering help to the person. That's shall for offering assistance. And we also use it for obligation. So um, we shall be there. As I said, guys, shall is rarely used, right? But in terms of an obligation, you could say something like, we shall be there at 7, right? You're indicating to the person that you're speaking to that we shall be there, right? We shall be there. That means it's a must. It's basically saying that it's a must that we are there. Students shall not enter here, right? Students shall not enter here. Um, like a mother is telling her daughter, you shall listen to me. You shall clean your room tomorrow, right? It's an obligation. It's just very formal. At school, they could say, there shall be no food or drink on the premises. Sure, Lauren, that's a complete question. Remember to start your sentences with a capital letter, right? Shall I ask something? Sure, right? But we don't use shall for permission. So basically, your sentence, Lauren, is permission, right? Yes, Hadil, very good. Shall we go? So if it's like, so for example, Hadil, you and a friend are going somewhere and you go to that friend's house to meet her for both of you to go together. If you get there and you knock on the door and you see that your friend is ready, you're like, shall we go? Right? So this means that you see that the person is already ready to go. Shall we go? Right? That's how we would use shall in terms of making a suggestion in this case, Hadil. But shall I ask something, Lauren? That's more of permission, right? You would use may I ask something. Your sentence is a permission sentence. But how do you sentence shall we go? Very good. To offer assistance, to make a suggestion, to offer an opinion when you are sure, right? When you use shall, you're basically sure of a positive response. Can I ask something or may I ask something? Correct, Lauren. Can I ask something or may I ask something? Very good, guys. Very, very good sentences. Very good. Anybody else has anyone would like to try any more sentences with shall? All right, let's do it at the end, right? Because I only have one more slide and that should. So should is to offer assistance, to make a suggestion, to give an opinion or offer advice. So for example, you know that your friend is sick and your friend is still trying to go to work. You would say to your friend, I think you should stay at home. You don't look too good, right? Or if you know someone who's trying to lose weight and they're taking the elevator every time, you can say, you should take the stairs. The elevator is really not helping you to lose weight, right? Or he should be more open to ideas. He's so closed minded, right? A suggestion, opinion, advice, you can use should, right? Should. to ask for an opinion. So whereas in the case of shall, right? In the case of shall, you are expecting a positive response, so you use the word shall. When you use should in a sentence, you really are listening for the person's response. So, for example, in the case of shall we go, right? You know, the person's already ready, but should is if you go to your friend's house and your friend is still not ready, should we go? You know, is that you're not sure if your friend is ready to go or not. You say, should we go? You're not too sure, right? Not too sure. Um, yeah, should we go? Or for example, what should we do now? What should we do now? For example, if you get robbed, you can say, um, should we tell to the police first? Should we call the fireman? What should we do? Right? You're really asking for an opinion because you don't know what to do. That's the case that you would use should. I'm sorry. For example, I'm cooking something and I'm not sure what to do next. I'm calling my mother. I'm gonna say, Mom, I'm cooking fried chicken. Should I leave the chicken in the pot for some more minutes if it's still not brown as yet, or should I take it out? Right? You're asking for an opinion. Right? You're asking for an opinion, and that's the case when you use should. Probability. Right? Probability. Probability with should. Let me think of some more sentences. Probability with should. For example, um, she should be coming, right? I asked her last night if she's gonna join me for the movie. She should be coming, right? You're almost sure that she's gonna come because based on your discussion last night, she said she would be here. So you could say to someone else, she should be coming, right? She should be coming. Or for example, in Jamaica now, right, with the whole COVID situation, our government has a press conference every Monday. So even if we don't see it being announced, we're going to say, well, today's Monday, so there should be a press conference, right? Probability, more than likely, it's going to happen. Even though we don't see the announcement, we believe that it's going to be happening. So we would say, there should be a press conference. I don't see the announcement, but it's Monday, so there should be. There should be a press conference. All right, let's go to the questions. In Colombia, all the people should use a face mask. So, Lauren, should implies in this sentence, should implies that it's not mandatory. If it is mandatory and the government says that you must use a face mask, then you would use must instead of should because it's a command, right? The government says you must use a face mask. If you're using should, it's like the government has made a recommendation that you wear a face mask. You don't have to use it, but the government made the recommendation and says, citizens, you should wear your face mask, right? But if the government says it is hereby decreed that all citizens of Colombia must wear a mask when in public, then you would use the word must, right, Lauren? You would use the word must. Hadil. Guys, please remember to start your sentences with capital letters. Remember to start your sentences with capital letters and end them in full stops, okay? Remember to start your sentences in capital letters and end them in full stops. So in this case, you'd use a question mark here. So should we call them? Right. It's either yes or no question. You're waiting on the person's opinion, right, Hadil? Should we call them? Right? So that's a question. Should we call them? Very good. All right, guys. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to give you guys the opportunity to ask me some questions, right? Ask me some questions using the different modal verbs. So let's go. We are going to start with can. Any questions with can? Can. What question do you have with can? Anybody has a question? For example, your daughter is only 3. Can she speak already? Well, 3 is pretty late. Your daughter is only 2. Can she speak? Is more common. What's more common, Lauren? Um, what is more common? I don't understand that question. Um, can I leave my daughter with you tonight? Right, that's permission. Can I leave my daughter with you tonight? Okay. In terms of asking permission, Lauren, yes. So may is really the proper way, but can is more common, yes. Can I go now? Yeah. That's like permission, right? Can I go now? Hmm. Especially when you're bored and the class is long. Can I go now? Very good, Hadil. Can I go now? All right, let's see with could. Ability in the past. What's something you could do when you were younger? When I was younger, I could live for free. Now I have to pay bills. That's a good one, a pretty important one. When I was younger, I could live for free. All right, polite permission. Could I please bring my daughter to your house tonight? I have an emergency and I can't take her with me, right? Could I please bring my daughter to your house tonight? I have an emergency and I can't take her with me, right? Could. Possibility. Um, all of my English class is going. Since he is in the class, he could show up. I'm not sure if he's gonna come, but he's a member of the class, right? He could show up. Possibility. Could. Any examples for could? Could. Any examples for could? Excuse me, could I just add one last thing? Right? Could I just add one last thing? It could rain tomorrow, possibility, right? It could rain tomorrow. I'm not seeing any signs of rain, but who knows? It could rain. I'm still gonna bring my umbrella, right? I'm still gonna bring my umbrella. Ability in the past. For example, when I was younger, as I said, I could climb trees. When I was younger, I could run up the stairs and down for an hour, right? Ability in the past. Could. May. We already discussed may, right? May I use your bag? May I use your phone? May I go? May I please be excused? That's a very popular one for meetings. May I please be excused? I have another matter that I need to deal with, or I have an urgent matter and I need to leave. May I please be excused? Right? Permission. Possibility. Similar to the sentence above, she may come. I invited her. I don't know if she's gonna come. She may come, right? Possibility. Must. She must come to the. She must. Could we think? I know, Lauren. Is it that you thought you lost your keys? You thought you lost your keys? I'm not understanding. You thought you lost your keys, but they are on the floor. I don't understand what you're trying to say here, Lauren. Hadil, could we think I what? Hadil, could you please rephrase that sentence? I'm not sure what it's asking. Could so Lauren, right, let me bring it back up. I thought I lost my keys, but they're actually on the floor. So in this sentence, you would not need to use could, right? I thought I lost my keys, but they're actually on the floor. Right? We wouldn't need to use could in this sentence. Hadil, please rephrase. I really don't understand what it is that you are asking. Please ask it in a different way. Ask it in a different way. So let me give another example for must. Remember, I said we are drawing conclusion, right? Or we're assuming something based on a situation. So Lauren has been here for the last two nights. She must want to learn about verbs, right? Because I see Lauren here, and I thank you so much for participating, Lauren. Right? It's confusing, right? Tell me what's confusing you, Lauren. I don't want to teach the class and end, and you are still confused. Tell me what's confusing for you. Must. Logical conclusion. My father works very hard. He must be tired. I see this lady going down the road every day. She must be a busy woman, or she must have a lot to do. My little brother, the music in my little brother's room is so loud. He must be trying to block me out, right? He doesn't want to hear what I have to say. All right, Norma, you must stop smoking, right? Three verbs together are pretty tricky. You must stop smoking, right? You must stop smoking. Remember, Norma, right? After modal verbs, we only use the base form of verb. So you have that right with stop. But when there are two verbs used together, in this case three, there's only one of the group that cannot be conjugated, right? Only one that cannot be conjugated. And we already have stop that's not conjugated. So you realize that must is a helping verb, right? Then you have the base form of the verb. The third verb has to be conjugated. So smoking. You must stop smoking for a healthy life. Not live. So this word is live here, Norma, or live, like I'm going live on Facebook. But you need the word life, F-E, right? You must stop smoking for a healthy life. But good try, Norma. Very, very good try. He must go now. This is like you're upset with someone and you're saying, he must go now. I don't want him at my house any longer. That's what you're saying, Hadil. He must go now. I don't want him around me. I don't want him in my meeting. I don't want him in my house. He must go now. If that's what you're saying, that's a strong obligation and you're very, very correct. He must go now. Could, will, and shall. Um, could, will, and shall. Okay. All right, Lauren. Could, will, and shall are confusing you. Can you explain what about them are confusing you? We use them in three different ways. So could, as I mentioned, so will, first of all, will is very easy, right? Will is to talk about something in the future, right? That's the easiest one of all three. Something in the future. Could, ability in the past, meaning when you were younger, when you were in university, when you were in high school. Could. Polite permission. Could you So this is where will, shall, and could can be used, but could is the most common of all three. Could you please make me a cup of tea? Will you please make me a cup of tea? Shall you make me a cup of, hmm, shall you make me a cup of tea? So in this case, shall would be the least used and the most formal, right? The least used and the most formal. Will is very polite. So if I go to my friend's house and I want something to drink, right? I'd say, could I get some water? Right? Could I get some water? If I go to, for example, if I'm at a formal dinner or if I'm at a function and I'm around the table, I would ask, um, will you please clear my plate? I have finished eating. Right? That's me asking the waiter, will you please clear my plate? I've finished eating. Shall. Remember, right? Shall is when we are asking somebody to do something and we are sure to get a positive response. So the example that I used earlier, right? My friend and I are going somewhere. I'm going to meet her at her house and then we are going to go to the place together. When I show up at her house, I see that she's ready and I say to her, shall we go? Right? That means I see that you're ready, you're heading out the house, you've closed your door. We look at each other smiling. Shall we go? Right? That's the best way to use shall. Um, yeah, that's the best way to use shall. So possibility, we don't use will or shall for possibility. Yeah, we don't use will or shall for possibility. Will is a probability, right? When you use will, you're certain that something is going to happen. You're like 95% sure. For example, the ship will have 500 guests when it leaves the port, right? The ship will have 500 guests when it leaves the port. Um, my dad will pick me up tonight at 7, right? My dad will pick me up tonight at 7. Polite request, as you mentioned before, will you please make me a cup of tea? Will you please make me a cup of tea? And the third one is shall Lauren, to offer assistance or make a suggestion, right? So as I said before, if someone is offering to help you with something, or for example, I am so in real life, I say to my friend, do you need some help? But in terms of modal verbs for shall, when you're not sure, right? You'd say to your friend, well, no, your friend is very overwhelmed with work, and you say to your friend, shall I assist you with your assignments? Right? Shall I assist you with your assignment? Because you know your friend needs some help, right? Shall I assist you with your assignment? Obligation for shall, Lorraine. The children, there shall be no eating in the lobby. All eating must take place in the dining room. Any student found guilty of eating in the lobby will be fined or will be punished, right? Obligation for shall. Um, I shall lose 10 pounds by the end of May. So if you say I will lose 10 pounds, it means that you're working towards it. But if you say shall lose 10 pounds, it means I am working on my body. I'm doing everything I need to do because at the end of May, I must lose these 10 pounds, right? That's the tone and the feeling that we get from will and shall. In that case, it's two different feelings. Okay, Lauren, two different feelings. Let me know if you have any questions, Lauren, about could, will, and shall. Give me some examples that you are confusing to you so that I can help you more. You have to ask me some more questions so that I can answer your questions, right? Ask me some more questions, Lauren, so that I can answer your questions. Will I come now? No, you would say, Okay, great, Lauren. I'm happy you understand. Will I come now? You would say, shall I come now, Hadil? Shall I come now? Should I come now? So should is when you really don't know the answer, right? So for example, Hadil, right? You go to your friend's house. Your friend opens the door and you guys are standing and talking for a while. And you say to your friend, well, shall I enter? You know your friend's gonna let you in, but you were just having like a little chit chat on the steps, right? Shall I come in? Right. But if you go to your friend's house and you hear her baby crying and you hear her husband arguing and the kids are arguing, you would say, should I come in? Is this a good time? Right? That's the difference between shall and should. So it depends on what exactly is the sentiment behind your question, right? What exactly is the sentiment behind your question? So, right, it's like a suggestion, Falu. If you're talking to your friend and you guys are smiling and whatever you say, well, shall I come in? Right? Because you know your friend is going to invite you in. But if you're there and you hear chaos in the background, it'd be like, should I come in? Is this a good time for you? Right? It's two different meanings. Remember, should is when you're actually waiting on a response and you're not sure what's next. Shall is when you're expecting a positive response, right? You're expecting a positive response. Shall I help you? Shall I carry these bags for you? Is that you're seeing the person's need and you're anticipating it, right? That's when you would use shall. Great questions, guys. Very, very good questions. Anybody else has any sentences? Any sentences that you'd like to try out, or any more questions? Anything confusing? If not, tell me, how was this live? If you learned anything new, tell me about it. And thank you guys so much for joining. I just want to say, guys, that I'm having a class on Saturday. This class is about tenses, the present tenses, the past tenses, the future tenses, 12 of them, right? It's a 3 hour long class that we'll be having on Saturday. You can eat, there are two options, 9 a.m. GMT minus 5 and 9 p.m. GMT minus 5. This class costs 15 US dollars, right, for the 3 hours. So it's basically $5 per hour. This class costs 15 US dollars. If you are interested and you would like to join this class, the link is in the description right below the video, right? The link is in the description. All right, guys, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to a thousand subscribers, so don't forget to subscribe. Okay, guys, don't forget to subscribe. If you have any questions, any sentences that you'd like me to look at for you, any questions, any sentences, any questions, any sentences, any questions, any sentences, any questions, any sentences. If not, thank you guys so much for joining. I hope that you would have learned something new. If you did, please share this video with a friend and encourage them to subscribe to this channel, right? Encourage them to subscribe to this channel. Thank you guys so much, so much, so much for joining me tonight. If you have any other questions, don't be afraid to message me on Instagram, okay? Remember, for the class on Saturday, the link is in the description below. Please share this video with a friend. Please subscribe. And I'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same place. Bye bye. Thank you, Falu. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. Bye bye, guys.